The air in Terrebonne Parish hung thick and still, a heavy, wet blanket of humidity. The usual symphony of the bayou was muted, as if the entire ecosystem was holding its breath. The sky, bruised purple and orange, reflected ominously in the dark water. This was the calm before the storm, a silence filled with unspoken fears and the ghosts of hurricanes past. Old fishermen eyed the sky and water, noting the high tide and panicked birds flying inland. These were ancient warnings, echoed now by meteorologists tracking Hurricane Celeste. The beauty of the bayou glowed with an eerie, treacherous light, a fleeting peace before chaos. Every ripple and rustle seemed to whisper of impending doom. For families in stilted homes, each hour dragged by, heavy with dread. Would the levees hold? Would their homes survive? In the oppressive calm, these questions lingered, as thick as the humidity. As the state of emergency was declared, hurricane prep began, a frantic, familiar dance. Hammers echoed, plywood vanished from stores, and neighbors helped each other board up windows. Inside, families packed essentials and treasured keepsakes, filling tubs with water and stockpiling supplies. The agonizing choice: stay or go. Some couldn't leave, tied to their livelihoods, health, or lack of resources. So they fortified their homes and hoped. Others joined the exodus, highways jammed with cars, gas stations empty, stores stripped bare. Each vehicle carried a family's story, fear for what was left behind, and hope for safety ahead. The region emptied itself, bracing for Celeste's arrival. For those who stayed, every board nailed was a prayer. For those who left, every mile north was a step into the unknown. All waited for the storm to decide their fate. Celeste arrived with a hiss, rain turning sideways as winds howled. Power flickered, then failed, plunging homes into darkness. The wind's moan became a deafening roar, shaking even the sturdiest houses. Rain forced its way through every crack, debris battered walls, and the storm surge crept higher. Outside, the landscape was torn apart, trees snapped, roofs peeled away, power lines fell. Water surged over banks, swallowing roads and climbing stilted homes. Inside, families huddled, helpless, listening to the chaos and praying their walls would hold. The storm raged, and all anyone could do was wait. The bayou's levees, the last defense, faced Celeste's relentless surge. Smaller, locally maintained walls strained under the rising water. Just after 2 a.m., a breach began, not a single explosion, but a cascade of failures. Water poured through, turning a trickle into a torrent, eroding the levee's foundation. A flash flood surged into Jean Lafitte, carrying debris and battering homes. Cars floated away, boats became battering rams, and houses were knocked from their foundations. The speed of the flood caught everyone off guard. Inside, terror reigned as water rushed in, knee-high, then waist-high, forcing families upward. Furniture floated, floorboards buckled, and people scrambled for attics or countertops. The water rose relentlessly, chasing them higher in the pitch black. The sanctuary of home became a trap. The roar of wind and flood merged into a nightmare. Survival meant climbing, waiting, and hoping for rescue. In a house near the breach, Maria Sanchez stood on her kitchen table, water swirling around her waist, singing to calm her children as her husband broke into the attic. Down the street, Thomas, an old shrimper, sat in his armchair, water rising, his dog paddling nearby. Resigned, not panicked. Calls for help echoed. "We're in the attic. The water is still rising. Can anyone hear us?" A couple trapped on their roof signaled with a phone flashlight, hoping to catch a rescuer's eye. A teenager rode a floating truck through flooded streets. A nurse bandaged a neighbor's wound with her first aid kit. In the chaos, people found strength they didn't know they had. These weren't dramatic heroics. but quiet, desperate acts of survival. Each story was a testament to endurance and compassion. The floodwaters revealed both the fragility and resilience of the human spirit. In the heart of the storm, survival was a series of small, determined choices. Hope flickered, even in the darkest moments. Surviving a hurricane here means facing more than wind and water. The bayou's maze of swamps and marshes becomes a single, indistinguishable flood. Roads and landmarks vanish. Backyards turn into debris-filled lakes. The water is toxic, mixed with chemicals, sewage, and fuel, a breeding ground for infection. Even a small cut can become deadly. Wildlife, too, becomes a threat. Alligators swim through neighborhoods. Snakes cling to debris. Fire ants form floating rafts. Hidden dangers lurk below. Submerged cars, live wires, sharp metal. The stilts that once protected homes now create underwater traps. The bayou's wild beauty transforms into a deadly obstacle course. Rescue and survival become a fight against both nature and the unknown. Before federal help arrived, the Cajun Navy launched their boats. Fishermen, oil workers, neighbors turned rescuers. They navigated flooded streets by memory, answering desperate calls for help. Official first responders, firefighters, police, National Guard, joined forces, despite their own flooded stations. Together, they coordinated rescues, relaying GPS coordinates and braving dangerous waters. Rescuers broke through roofs, carried children through chest-deep water, and pulled families from sweltering attics. Each rescue was a victory against the storm. The bravery of these volunteers and officials became legend. They didn't wait for help, they became the help. In Louisiana, community means action. When disaster strikes, they save each other. As Celeste's winds faded, silence returned to a world transformed. Mud coated everything, homes were toppled, roofs gone, cars overturned. The lush bayou was now a monochrome wasteland. Survivors emerged, stunned, to find their neighborhoods unrecognizable. Family photos floated in puddles. A child's bike tangled in a tree, the church steeple gone. The emotional toll was immense. Loss felt deeper than fear. Homeowners waded through ruins, hearts sinking at the waterline stains. Inside, everything was destroyed, a lifetime reduced to debris. Yet signs of resilience appeared. A tattered flag, neighbors clearing paths, sharing food and water. The focus shifted from survival to recovery. "Are you okay?" became the greeting, heavy with meaning. The long process of rebuilding began, fueled by shared loss and determination. The bayou spirit endured, even in ruin. The aftermath of Celeste is measured in months and years, not days. Cleanup is massive. Debris lines every street, chainsaws replace the wind's roar. Volunteers arrive, offering supplies and comfort, reminding survivors they're not alone. Rebuilding is an act of faith. Most choose to stay, elevating homes, using flood-resistant materials, restoring wetlands. Emotional recovery is slow, the trauma lingers, but community is the best medicine. Crawfish boils and church services intense become rituals of healing. The storm couldn't break the bonds of the bayou. Here, destruction and rebirth are cyclical. With each storm, they adapt and rebuild, scars a testament to their strength. The people of the bayou endure, their hope as deep as the waters they call home. Their resilience is unbreakable.